The reluctant encounter. The flashing alert jolted Captain Lara Merivale from her half-sleep. 3 weeks of patrol duty in the Epsilon sector had lulled her crew into a mundane routine of system checks and minor debris clearance. The Mender, Earth's premier repair vessel in this quadrant, hadn't seen anything resembling a challenge in months. "Captain to the bridge," echoed through the ship's comm system. In the 15 seconds it took her to pull on her uniform jacket and reach the command deck, Lara's mind raced through possibilities. Pirates were rare this far from the trade routes. Military exercises weren't scheduled for another month. "Report," she ordered, stepping onto the bridge where her night crew stood with unusual rigidity. Lieutenant Ibarra, her sensor officer, spoke without taking his eyes off the screen. "Unidentified vessel, severely damaged, drifting on minimal power at coordinates 38 to 7214. Configuration is Toraxian, Captain." A tense silence fell across the bridge. The Toraxian hegemony hadn't been openly hostile to Earth's expansion efforts, but their diplomats made it clear that human presence was merely tolerated, not welcomed. Their ships typically maintained significant distance from human outposts. "Life signs?" Lara asked, moving to the main display. "Affirmative. Environmental systems functioning at approximately 30%. We're detecting approximately 87 individuals." Ibarra replied. "They're in trouble, Captain." The visual finally resolved on the main screen. The Toraxian vessel resembled a massive obsidian arrowhead, its typically sleek form now marred by scorch patterns and structural breaches. Emergency force fields shimmered weakly across exposed sections. Without intervention, those barriers would fail within hours. Lara tapped her comm link. "Engineering, medical, tactical, priority briefing in 5 minutes." She turned to her communications officer. "Ensign Torres, open a channel. Standard greeting, emergency protocols." "Captain," her first officer, Commander Chen, spoke quietly beside her. "The diplomatic corps expressly restricts unsolicited contact with Toraxian military vessels." "They're not military," Lara replied, pointing to the ship's configuration. "Civilian transport, research model. Those aren't weapon mounts, they're sensor arrays." The main screen flickered, revealing a dimly lit bridge dominated by emergency lighting. A Toraxian figure moved into view. Tall and angular with mottled gray skin and 4 upper limbs positioned around a central torso. The being's cranial ridge pulsed with faint bioluminescent patterns that humans had learned indicated emotional states, this one displaying what analysts believe signified extreme stress. "This is Commander Zivthal of the hegemony vessel Eternal Thought," the translator rendered in flat tones. "Identify yourself and state your intentions, human craft." Lara straightened. "Commander, I'm Captain Lara Merivale of the Earth Confederation repair vessel Mender. We've detected your ship's condition and are offering emergency assistance." The Toraxian's secondary arms twitched. Suspicion, according to the cultural briefings Lara had studied. "Your offer is noted. Our systems will recover with time. Proximity to your vessel creates unnecessary security complications." Lara resisted the urge to sigh. Pride had killed more spacers than combat ever did. "Commander," she said carefully, "our scans indicate multiple hull breaches and critical systems failures. Your environmental systems are operating at 30% and failing. I respectfully submit that without assistance, your crew will not survive another 12 hours." The alien's luminescent patterns flared briefly. "You are mistaken. Toraxian systems are superior." An explosion rocked the Toraxian bridge. The transmission stuttered as emergency alarms wailed in the background. When the feed stabilized, 2 more Toraxians had joined Commander Zivthal, speaking rapidly in their native language. The commander's posture shifted subtly. "It appears our situation may be more compromised than initial assessments indicated." "We can help," Lara said simply. "No diplomatic entanglements, no reports to either of our governments until you're safely underway. Just repairs." The 3 Toraxians conferred, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing in complex sequences. Finally, Zivthal faced the screen again. "We will permit your assistance, Captain Merivale, under strict protocols. Our technical crew will coordinate with yours. No personnel transfers between vessels. Data exchanges limited to repair necessities only." Lara nodded. "Agreed. We'll begin immediately." The briefing with her department heads took less than 10 minutes. Chief Engineer Rojas had already analyzed the preliminary scans and developed 3 potential approaches to stabilize the Taraxian vessel. Dr. Harmon from Medical had pulled everything available on Taraxian physiology, which wasn't much. "Their environmental requirements are similar enough to ours," Dr. Harmon explained. "Higher nitrogen content, slightly elevated pressure. They can survive in our atmosphere for short periods, but it's uncomfortable for them." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Lara replied. "Initial repairs will be conducted via remotes and suited teams. Maintain communication with me at all times." Within the hour, the Mender had maneuvered alongside the damaged vessel. Engineering teams deployed repair drones that clung to the Taraxian hull like metallic insects, sealing breaches and reinforcing weakened sections. The alien crew watched with visible unease as human technology interfaced with their systems. Chief Engineer Rovis spoke through the comms from the main engineering deck. "Captain, we've stabilized the immediate hull breaches, but there's a bigger problem. Their main power core is destabilizing. The containment system is failing. Can we repair it? Not without direct access, and not with our standard protocols. Their technology operates on principles we've only theorized about." Lara turned to the screen where Commander Zivthal waited. "Commander, our engineer reports that your power core is destabilizing. We need to send a team aboard to assess it directly." The Taraxian's luminescence darkened. Alarm, possibly fear. Unacceptable. Hegemony technology cannot be observed by outside species. "With respect, Commander, if that core destabilizes, your ship and everyone aboard will be reduced to subatomic particles. We're not interested in your technology. We want to save your crew." A tense silence followed. Finally, Zivthal spoke again, each word carefully measured. "2 technicians only. They will be accompanied by our engineering lead at all times. Any attempt to document our systems will be considered an act of espionage." "Understood," Lara agreed. "My people know the protocols." Chief Engineer Rojas and his assistant, Lieutenant Park, crossed to the Taraxian vessel through an emergency docking tube. Their helmet cameras transmitted everything back to the Mender's engineering deck, where the rest of the team watched anxiously. The Taraxian ship's interior revealed the same elegant efficiency as its exterior: curved surfaces flowing into functional spaces, lighting embedded within the material of the walls themselves. The Taraxian engineer, introduced only as Specialist Nem, led them through narrowing corridors toward the core. As they descended, the damage became more severe: collapsed sections, exposed conduits emitting crackling energy. "The core chamber is ahead," Nem stated. "Our diagnostics cannot identify the malfunction. The containment field harmonics have developed irregularities we cannot correct." Rojas studied the readouts on his specialized scanner. "Captain," he reported, "they're using a quantum fold reactor. The principles are similar to our theoretical models, but they've actually built one." "Can you stabilize it?" Lara asked. "Maybe. The containment field is degrading because of cascade failures in their regulator subsystems. The damage to their power distribution network is feeding back into the core." He paused, thinking. "We could adapt our emergency stabilizers, but we'd need to reconfigure them substantially." "Do what you need to do," Lara ordered. For the next 4 hours, Rojas and Park worked alongside the initially reluctant but increasingly cooperative Taraxian engineers. What began as terse technical exchanges evolved into a genuine collaboration as both sides recognized the other's expertise. Human ingenuity met Taraxian precision as they jury-rigged a hybrid stabilization system that neither civilization would have developed alone. "It's holding," Rojas finally reported, exhaustion evident in his voice. "We've bought them time, but this is a temporary fix. The core's architecture has been compromised at a fundamental level. They need a complete replacement or a major overhaul in a proper facility." Lara turned to the main screen where Zidthal waited. "Commander, we've stabilized your core for now, but this is a temporary solution. You need comprehensive repairs at a proper facility. The nearest hegemony outpost is 17 solar cycles distant," Zidthal replied, the translator unable to fully convey the complex emotions rippling across the alien's luminescent patterns. "We cannot sustain life support for such a journey with our current damage." Lara exchanged glances with her first officer before making a decision that she knew might end her career. "Our station, Outpost Horizon, is 3 days from here. We have facilities that can accommodate your needs while we complete repairs." The bridge fell silent. What she was proposing violated at least 6 diplomatic protocols and countless unwritten rules about human-Taraxian interaction. "You would bring a hegemony vessel to a human military installation?" Zidthal asked, genuine surprise evident even through the translator. "Horizon is a civilian repair and research station," Lara corrected. "Yes, there's a security presence, but its primary function is scientific and commercial. We can provide discreet docking and complete repairs without official diplomatic entanglements." "The Hegemony Council would not approve," Zidthal stated, though Lara noted it wasn't quite a refusal. "With respect, Commander, the Council isn't here. 87 lives are. I'm offering you a solution that keeps your crew alive and your vessel intact." She paused, then added, "The alternative is abandoning ship and waiting for a hegemony rescue that might not arrive in time." The Taraxian's primary arms crossed in what humans had learned was a gesture of deep contemplation. The luminescent patterns on its cranial ridge pulsed in complex sequences. "The logical course is clear, despite political complications," Zidthal finally said. "We will accept your proposal, Captain Merivale." As the mender secured tow linkages to the damaged Taraxian vessel, Lara returned to her quarters to compose an extremely careful message to Outpost Horizon's administrator. She had just committed to bringing representatives of a species that barely tolerated humanity's existence to Earth's farthest research outpost. The Taraxians would see technology they weren't supposed to see. Humans would be exposed to a culture they barely understood. "Just repairs," she muttered to herself as she prepared for what would certainly be the most complicated diplomatic incident of her career. But as she watched the Taraxian crew working alongside her engineers, some of the aliens now communicating directly with halting English phrases, while humans attempted basic Taraxian gestures, she saw something forming that transcended mere mechanical fixes. The journey to Outpost Horizon would take 3 days. The real repairs, she suspected, were only beginning. Beyond protocol, Outpost Horizon appeared first as a glittering construct against the velvet backdrop of space, a wheel-shaped central hub with radiating spokes connecting to various modules and docking platforms. Initially built as a research station, it had evolved into a bustling waypoint for commercial and scientific vessels traversing the Epsilon sector. Captain Lara Merivale stood at the mender's viewport, watching the station grow larger as they approached. Beside her, Commander Zidthal observed with what she had come to recognize as Taraxian apprehension, a subtle flickering of bioluminescent patterns along the cranial ridge. "You have never brought a hegemony vessel to your station before," Zidthal stated. It wasn't a question. "No," Lara admitted, "but there's always a first time for everything." This saying, "Your species has many such simplifications. We call them proverbs." She smiled slightly. "They help us navigate complexity." Zidthal made a gesture with his secondary arms that Lara had come to understand indicated contemplative acknowledgement. "Your language contains much imprecision, yet somehow conveys meaning beyond literal interpretation." The conversation was interrupted by a communication alert. Administrator Eliza Chen's face appeared on the nearest screen, her expression a careful mask of professional neutrality. "Captain Merivale, We've prepared the auxiliary repair bay as requested. Security protocols have been adjusted accordingly. A slight pause. The Diplomatic Corps representative is concerned about your report. I imagine they are, Lara replied evenly. Please remind Representative Hoskins that this is a humanitarian mission under Section 7 of the Interstellar Response Protocols. Political considerations are secondary to preservation of life. Chen's expression softened just slightly. Understood, Captain. Docking procedures will commence on your arrival. As the communication ended, Zidthal turned to Lara. Your government disapproves. Governments always disapprove when people prioritize lives over politics, she replied. But they'll adapt, just as the hegemony will. The docking process took nearly twice as long as standard procedures. The damaged Taraxian vessel required specialized handling, and station personnel had to adjust atmospheric composition in the designated repair bay to accommodate both species comfortably. A compromise environment was established. Slightly higher nitrogen levels than humans preferred, slightly lower pressure than Taraxians found optimal. Neither would be entirely comfortable, but both could function. Administrator Chen met them at the airlock, flanked by Chief Engineer Vasiliv and Dr. Okafor, the station's xenobiologist. Diplomatic Representative Hoskins stood slightly apart, his rigid posture conveying disapproval. Commander Zidthal, Chen said with a formal bow that mimicked Taraxian greeting customs. Outpost Horizon welcomes you and your crew. Our facilities are at your disposal for as long as necessary to complete repairs. The Taraxian commander returned the gesture with surprising accuracy. Administrator Chen, the eternal thought acknowledges your hospitality in our time of need. Hoskins stepped forward. I must note formally that this arrangement has not been approved through proper diplomatic channels. The Earth Confederation cannot be held responsible for saving lives. Lara interrupted. I believe that's exactly what we should be responsible for, Representative. Chen smoothly inserted herself between them. Technical and medical assessments take priority at this moment. Politics can wait until everyone is safe and stable. Over the next several days, Horizon's repair facilities worked at maximum capacity. The comprehensive damage to the Taraxian vessel proved even more extensive than initial scans had indicated. Multiple system failures had cascaded through their ship, some predating whatever incident had caused the visible external damage. Commander Zivthal remained evasive about what had happened, citing security protocols, but Lara suspected they had encountered something unexpected on their research mission. Chief Engineer Vasiliv coordinated with Rogas from the Mender and the Taraxian engineering team, developing hybrid solutions that merged human intuitive adaptability with Taraxian precision. What began as cautious technical exchanges evolved into genuine collaboration, with engineers from both species huddled over schematics and components, finding common ground in the universal language of physics and mathematics. On the fifth day, while Lara was reviewing progress reports in the station's operations center, Dr. Okafor burst in, breathless with urgency. Captain, we have a situation. 3 Taraxian crew members have collapsed. Their medical officer is requesting assistance, but doesn't have the necessary equipment aboard their vessel. Lara immediately activated her comlink. Commander Zidthal, I've been informed of a medical emergency. We're preparing to help. The response came after an uncharacteristic delay. The situation is complex, Captain. Our personnel are experiencing neurological degradation consistent with prolonged exposure to trace radioactive isotopes. Our medical facilities were damaged in the initial incident. Let us help, Lara said firmly. Dr. Okafor is our foremost xenobiologist. Another pause. Hegemony physiology is classified beyond basic parameters. Commander, Lara replied, struggling to keep frustration from her voice. People are dying. Pride is a luxury neither of us can afford right now. The silence stretched so long that Lara thought the communication had failed. Finally, Zidthal spoke again, something new in his tone. Resignation, perhaps, or the Taraxian equivalent of humility. Your assistance would be appreciated. Captain. Within the hour, the affected Taraxians were transferred to Horizon's medical bay, which Dr. Okafor had hastily reconfigured for their physiology. Scans revealed severe neurological damage caused by exposure to an exotic radioactive isotope that had leaked from damaged research materials aboard the Eternal Thought. Their neural pathways are deteriorating, Dr. Okafor explained to the assembled human and Taraxian representatives. Traditional decontamination procedures are ineffective because the particles have already bonded to their cellular structure. The Taraxian medical officer, Specialist Phrixus, displayed complex luminescent patterns that the translator rendered as profound distress. Without our specialized equipment, recovery is impossible. The damage will progress until neural function ceases. Dr. Okafor studied the scans, then looked up with the expression Laura had come to recognize as her impossible solution face. What if we adapt our neural regeneration therapy? The principles should apply across species. Impossible, Phrixus replied immediately. Your technology is incompatible with our neural architecture. Not with modifications, Okafor insisted. We've been developing therapies that work at the quantum cellular level. The fundamental principles of neural signal propagation are universal. It's the implementation that differs between species. What followed was an intense 72-hour collaboration between human and Taraxian medical specialists. Where technical barriers arose, engineering teams were brought in. When cultural restrictions threatened progress, Lara and Zidthal negotiated compromises. The process revealed more about Taraxian physiology than had ever been shared with humans before, knowledge that both sides knew could never be officially acknowledged. On the third day, Dr. Okafor emerged from the medical bay, exhausted but triumphant. It's working. The neural degradation has stopped, and we're seeing early signs of regeneration. They'll recover. That evening, Lara found Commander Zivthal in Horizon's observation dome, gazing out at the stars and the docked Eternal Thought, now substantially repaired. Your people continue to confound hegemony understanding, the Taraxian said without turning. How so? Lara asked, moving to stand beside him. You have provided assistance that violates your own protocols, shared technology without demanding equal exchange, invested resources in saving lives of a species that has shown minimal reciprocal consideration. The Taraxians' luminescent patterns pulsed in complex sequences. The hegemony would categorize such behavior as strategically unsound. Perhaps we measure success differently, Lara suggested. Indeed, this has become evident. Zidthal turned to face her fully. Before we encountered your vessel, I believed humans were technologically capable but culturally primitive. Your emotional responses and social structures seemed inefficient. Your willingness to assist others is strategic weakness. And now I understand that what we perceived as weakness may be a different kind of strength. Your adaptability arises from this emotional foundation. Your innovations emerge from chaos rather than order. The Taraxian made a formal gesture with all four limbs that Lara didn't recognize. It is enlightening. The moment was interrupted by an urgent communication. Captain Merivale. Administrator Chen's voice came through the station's system. A hegemony diplomatic vessel has entered the sector and is demanding immediate communication. Lara exchanged glances with Zidthal. This was inevitable, she said. Yes, the Taraxian agreed. The Council has learned of our presence here. The diplomatic confrontation that followed was tense, but ultimately anticlimactic. The hegemony representative, a senior official named Dravkelks, made formal protests about protocol violations and unauthorized technology sharing. Representative Hoskins countered with equally formal assertions of humanitarian exception clauses in interspecies agreements. Throughout the exchange, Commander Zivthal stood silently, his luminescent patterns carefully neutral. Only when Dravkelks demanded immediate withdrawal of the Eternal Thought and all personnel did he speak. The repair process is not complete, he stated. Premature departure would endanger the vessel and crew. Arrangements will be made for proper hegemony assistance, Travkelks replied. That would require a minimum of 12 days, Zithal countered. The humans will complete repairs in 3. There are concerns about contamination, Travkelks began. Cultural, not physical, Zithal interrupted. I have observed no attempts at indoctrination or intelligence gathering. They have respected our privacy while preserving our lives. His luminescent patterns briefly flared in what humans had learned indicated emphasis. 3 of our research specialists live only because of human medical intervention that asked nothing in return. The diplomatic officer's patterns displayed clear surprise. This was not in your reports. My reports detailed technical assistance. The depth of their medical aid became apparent only afterward. A long silence followed, finally broken by Laura. Perhaps both our peoples could benefit from a revaluation of assumptions. This unexpected collaboration has revealed possibilities neither side anticipated. To everyone's surprise, it was Representative Hoskins who supported her. Captain Merivale's actions, while unorthodox, have created an unprecedented opportunity for practical cooperation outside formal diplomatic channels. The technical and medical advances achieved here in days might have taken years through official pathways. After further discussion, a compromise was reached. The eternal thought would remain at Horizon until repairs were complete. Both governments would classify the entire incident as an emergency exception to standard protocols. No official acknowledgement of technology sharing would appear in any record. Unofficially, both sides understood that something fundamental had changed. 3 days later, the Toraxian vessel prepared for departure. The repairs were complete, the injured crew fully recovered. As final checks were conducted, Lara and Zithal stood in the docking bay, away from the bustling activity of both human and Toraxian technical teams. Teams that now work together with an efficiency that would have been unimaginable 2 weeks earlier. Your ship is actually better than before, Lara observed. Some of those systems weren't just repaired but improved, as were some of our perspectives, Zithal replied. He hesitated, then extended all 4 limbs in a formal gesture. The hegemony does not have a tradition of personal gratitude separate from official acknowledgement. However, I find myself creating such a tradition now. Lara smiled and returned the gesture as best a human with only 2 arms could manage. Sometimes the most important traditions are the new ones we create together. The Council will not change policy based on one incident, Zithal warned. Maybe not immediately, Lara agreed. But 87 Toraxians have experienced something different than what they were told about humans. And several dozen humans now see Toraxians as individuals rather than an abstract species. Small changes lead to larger ones, given time. As the eternal thought disengaged from Horizon's docking system and moved gracefully away from the station, Lara stood with her crew and watched through the observation window. The once damaged vessel now moved with its original elegance, its obsidian surface unmarred. Do you think it will make any difference? Chief Engineer Roges asked beside her. All this work, the risks we took. Lara thought about the late-night technical discussions she'd witnessed between human and Toraxian engineers, the shared meals where cultural taboos had gradually relaxed, the moment when a Toraxian researcher had attempted a human joke, and the startled laughter that followed. They came to us nearly dead, convinced of our inferiority and their isolation, she said. They're leaving alive, with questions instead of assumptions, and they're carrying with them proof that when species reach beyond their differences, impossible problems find solutions. She smiled as the Toraxian ship activated its drive, leaving a brief, brilliant flare in the darkness. They asked for repairs. What they're taking home is something far more valuable: the possibility of connection. As Outpost Horizon returned to its regular operations, news of the incident remained officially classified. But throughout the station and aboard the Mender, stories spread. Engineers discussed the elegant efficiency of Toraxian design principles. Medical staff studied the adapted treatments that had saved lives. Even Representative Hoskins was seen consulting unofficial notes from the cultural exchanges. 6 months later, when a human scientific vessel encountered difficulty near hegemony space, a Taraxian ship responded to their distress call without hesitation. The official report cited standard emergency protocols. Unofficially, the Taraxian commander told the human captain, "We were offered more than repairs once. We remember. It wasn't a revolution or a dramatic policy change, just a small ripple in the vast ocean of interspecies relations. But ripples, given time, can become waves, and waves, eventually, can reshape even the most resistant shores." Just repairs, they had said. What they had built was understanding.